Hey, today is hump day. So, hopefully, for most of you, the week has been just zipping along and everything's great and not necessarily just dragging along like at a snail's pace. And you're like, oh, please, weekend, please get here. I don't know. I have no idea how your week has been going, but I do know one thing for certain, and that is the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, it is another Wargame Wednesday, and today is March 28th, 2018. I'm Jeff McAleer. I am your host here at the Daily Dope, as well as the Grand Poobah of thegaminggang.com. So before I jump in today's show, I do want to mention that there is chat available. It is available both on Twitch as well as YouTube. And it is not on screen. That's how I keep the trolls from hanging around and typing weird, bizarre crap. But if you want to say hello, or if you have a question, or I'm actually going to do an overview in a bit, if you want to take a closer look at something, feel free, chime in. And I will, your wish is my command, I suppose. I am going to do an overview today of Phantom Leader Deluxe Edition from Dan Verssen Games. Now, this game has been out for quite some time. I want to say it came out in 2013, but it is one of the cool solitaire games available from Dan Verssen Games, and I wanted to share some DVG love because I seem to usually be talking about GMT Games or Victory Point Games or Flying Pig Games or Tiny Battle Publishing. And Dan Verssen Games has a lot of cool games out there. Gotta be honest, it's been a while since I've done a review of one. I think something got lost in translation when I moved from Arizona, because I used to get quite a few of the DVG releases for review. Anyway, I'll talk a little bit more about the company in just a bit when I start doing the overview. All right, so let's move on to the news. Kind of slow news day again today. I have to say that there's just an overwhelming amount of underwhelming Kickstarters out there. And it's sort of like, I've said it before. I don't want the Gaming Gang. I've never wanted the Gaming Gang to be some Kickstarter preview site. Way too many websites are just too in the bag with Kickstarter companies and things like that. Never want the Gaming Gang or the Daily Dope to end up like something like that, where it's like you tune in and all the news is Kickstarters. That's why I always try to limit one Kickstarter per show. And today, I'm not covering any Kickstarters because I didn't find anything that really piqued my interest. But anyway, I do want to mention, first off, that there is a new expansion coming for Viticulture from Stonemaier Games. And I've got the dope on Visit from the Rhine Valley. Do you have new visitors? This expansion for Viticulture provides you with a new set of 80 visitors cards, which focuses less on victory points and more on the wine business itself. These cards have their own unique backs, as they must be played without other visitor cards from Viticulture, Tuscany, or Moor visitors. I have to point out, 4 of the cards can only be used with Tuscany, and 6 of the cards are actually the same as existing cards. The Banker, Contractor, Craftsman, Harvest Expert, Zymologist. I have no clue what a zymologist does. And Uncertified Oncologist. This expansion is going to include 40 Summer Visitor cards and 40 Winter Visitor cards. Visit from the Rhine Valley will be available from retailers starting on June 1st, 2018, and will carry an MSRP of $20. I dig Viticulture. I have not played in a long time, but I want to say Viticulture was the first game I had ever tackled from Stonemaier Games. Although it's another company I don't get a whole lot of review copies from anymore. And the thing is, the releases got good reviews. Viticulture, and then there was a game where it's kind of like that. It's like a dystopian future. I can't even think of the name of it now. Hey, Russell Higgins is chiming in. Sup. Hello, Russell. Thanks for joining me again. Just talking about a little bit of news before I get into my Phantom Leader Deluxe Edition overview. All right, moving right along. There's a fairly family-friendly game, I guess I would say, that's coming from newcomers Flying Leap Games, and it's their first game title. It's called Wing It, the game of extreme storytelling. It's coming in May, and here's the dope. Wing It is a hilarious storytelling and problem-solving game. You and your friends pit your imaginations against each other as you dream up ways to overcome unlikely challenges. Now, an eerily well-coordinated horde of angry jellyfish begins to rock the boat until it tips precariously from side to side with an even unlikelier set of resources. And all you have is an ice axe, 10 coconuts, a set of snow tires, 1 pound of leg hair, and a complete collection of Hitchcock films. What are you gonna do now? In each round, the players are all presented with the same challenging situation, but each player has different objects that they can use as resources to resolve the situation. Each player comes up with a story about how they'll solve the situation by using exactly 3 of the 5 objects in their hand, and then everyone takes a turn pitching their story to a judge. A winning story is selected, a new player becomes the judge, and the next round begins. The game includes 89 resource cards and 330 situation cards. Strange, you would think there'd be more resource cards than 89. Plus 5 blank resources and 8 blank situations. Wing It is for 4 to 7 players, ages 12 and up, and takes anywhere from 15 to 90 minutes to play. It's going to depend on the number of players, and it's going to carry an MSRP of $30 when it hits stores on May 25th. Yeah, a little clone-ish of a lot of other games that are out there. But it's a first-time company. I thought I'd cut them some slack. I thought I'd give Flying Leap Games a little plug. Might be a pretty fun game. I am kind of surprised there's only 89 resource cards, and you get 5 resources per situation. I don't know, it sounds kind of weird. I would have thought maybe it'd be 90 situations and 330 different resources. All right, moving right along. Fans of fantasy artwork and Dungeons and Dragons will certainly be on the lookout this October for an intriguing tome. And I've got the dope on Dungeons and Dragons Art and Arcana, a Visual History. It is written by Michael Whitwer, I believe it is, Kyle Newman, John Peterson, and Sam Whitwer. It's published by 10 Speed Press, which is part of Penguin Random House. Anyway, it is an illustrated guide to the history and evolution of the beloved role-playing game told through the paintings, sketches, illustrations, and visual ephemera, dummy. Ephemera, Jeff, that's the word, stupid. Behind its creation, evolution, and continued popularity. Dungeons & Dragons is the most iconic and pervasive gaming franchise in the world. That might be up for some debate. It is a seminal RPG and the inspiration for video games like World of Warcraft and Zelda, fantasy art, and countless other facets of geek culture. This officially licensed illustrated history provides an unprecedented look at the visual evolution of the game, showing its continued influence on the worlds of pop culture and fantasy. It features more than 700 pieces of artwork from each edition of the game's core books, supplements, and modules, decades of Dragon and Dungeon magazine, classic advertisements and merchandise, and never-before-seen sketches, large format canvases, rare photographs, one-of-a-kind drafts, and more from the now famous designers and artists associated with the game. The Superstar author team, wow, pat yourself on the back much there, folks? Gained unparalleled access to the archives of Wizard of the Coast and the personal collections of top collectors, as well as the designers and illustrators who created the distinctive characters, concepts, and visuals that have defined fantasy art and gameplay for generations. This is the most comprehensive collection of D&D imagery ever assembled, making this the ultimate collectible for the game's millions of fans around the world. The 464-page Dungeons & Dragons Art in Arcana will release the day before my birthday, October 23rd, and will carry an MSRP of $66. This sounds pretty cool. I believe I think it's like a 9.5 by 11-inch book. I think I saw something along those lines. I will point out that I'm getting conflicting reports on the MSRP. So Penguin Random House says it's $66. I have seen some websites out there, some news sites, I should say, that were saying it's $50. It's not $50. The MSRP is not $50 on this. It's $66. Now, it is very possible that Amazon has a pre-order already. Maybe Amazon is offering it for $50. I don't know, but this looks really sweet, and it comes out the day before my birthday. I wonder if I could arrange to get that as a gift. Because I always dug the artwork from Dungeons and Dragons, and in fact, okay, so I'm staying on topic, but I'm going to share a story that I seem to recall. So the image that's being shown right now, because that's all that's available at the moment, and I didn't want to just throw some, covers of Dragon or things like that in there if it's not in the book, right? But if I recall, the image that's being shown on the cover was from one of the basic D&D editions. It may have been the second edition of, it was Dungeons and Dragons, but it wasn't Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And I want to say, didn't it come in a blue box? So anyway, Larry Elmore did tons and tons of artwork for Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, I think that's where most people actually began to recognize Larry Elmore for his fantasy art. And I swear this is the image that he kept submitting that was going to be on the cover of this edition of Basic D&D. And he kept submitting all these various different sketches and, almost finished artwork. And they all say, he kept getting back, no, this isn't it. No, this isn't right. No, sorry. No, I guess not. And finally, Larry Elmore was in Lake Geneva, and he was talking to Gary Gygax, and he said, well, what do you want? I think he said it a little nicer than that, but he was pretty frustrated. Gary Gygax said, well, I want the dragon coming right out of the box cover. Sure enough, Larry Elmore went back to his studio, cranked out this piece, and that became the cover. I'm almost positive this is the image. So Russell Higgins says, and it's all pictures. Sounds like a good fit for you. Sorry I couldn't resist being snarky. Hey, everybody knows I treat English as if it's a second language. And I do stumble over these press releases. Usually when I stumble over the press release, it's because I haven't read the entire thing. I know I should read the entire thing, but usually I'll just kind of, take a peek at it, kind of get an idea for it, go track down how many players is the game for, what's the MSRP gonna be. So yes, I like picture books, Russell. I assume there's gonna be accompanying text. I have to assume there's 4 writers involved in this, and they're a superstar team, right? Jeez, I can't believe they included that. Yeah. All right, let me grab a sip here. Alrighty, so it's Wargame Wednesday, right? Wouldn't it be nice if we had a little bit of Wargame news? Yes, I know. GMT has revealed a new P500 title. Sounds pretty good because it's designed by Voku Runke, and We know all about the coin series, but this is a brand new game series, and it really does sound mighty intriguing, as it actually takes place in the age of feudalism. Here's the dope on the P500 page for Nevsky. Latinum's northern crusade on Baltic pagans would not dream of taking on the Orthodox city-state before it, a wealth so mighty that Russians called the city itself Lord Novgorod the Great. But then the Khan's Golden Horde overran all Rus east of Ilmen. I think it's pronounced Ilmen. Teutonic and Danish crusaders saw an opening to take on the schismatics and perhaps seize Novgorod's trade routes to Asia. Medieval society tightly interwove political organization with military necessity. GMT's new Levy and Campaign series from Volku Runke immerses players in the feudal system as it mobilizes for war and shapes war's conduct. This first volume, Nevsky, unrolls the politico-military tapestry along the Baltic frontier of the 13th century, where town councils and papal legates loomed larger than kings. Later volumes will illuminate military cultures around the breadth of the medieval world. Levy your lords and vassals, stock their supplies and transport, plan your campaign. Then be sure to reward your field commanders with booty, coin, and victories, lest they suddenly head home to defend their land. Their obligation to you expired. Nevsky is a board game. It is a war game, obviously enough, but it's not. Obviously we can see it's not traditional X Encounter. And it's about the storied clash between the Latin Teutonic and Orthodox Russian powers among the Baltic frontier of the mid-13th century. It's, as I mentioned before, the first volume in GMT Games' Levy and Campaign series, which is portraying military operations in a variety of pre-industrial conflicts. In Nevsky, players raise and equip their armies, then provision and maneuver them to ravage or conquer enemy territory or defeat enemy forces in battle. Feudal politics obligate an array of lords and vassals to serve on campaign, but only for limited periods. Players must keep an eye on the calendar and reward lords to keep their armies in the field. Nevsky is for 2 players. Looks like there's some solitaire options though, and it will be considered medium complexity. Right now you can reserve a copy of the game for $55 as a P500, and it's, come on, it's Volko. It's gonna make the cut, we know that. So, save yourself some money because the MSRP of Nevsky is actually going to be $80 when it arrives in stores, and I gotta admit, this looks pretty cool. This looks really interesting. I wish I had more images to share because basically I believe these are just like playtest materials that are some photographs that have been shown off. All right, so that is something to keep your eyes on. And that is it for the news, huh? Pretty quick news today. Like I said, just wasn't a whole heck of a lot that was out there that was really piquing my interest. I mean, yeah, do you guys want? Yeah, I shouldn't say guys because I know there are women who watch this. Do you folks want to see, like Yu-Gi-Oh news, Pokemon news, weird collectible card games that seem really bizarrely advertised on some websites where you can tell they're really sinking money into advertising on some sites, and you've not heard a single word about this collectible card game? I don't think you guys want news like that. I don't think that's what everybody's looking for out there. So, anyway, so what we got cooking? So today, as I mentioned, I'm going to do an overview of Phantom Leader Deluxe Edition from DVG. And I do want to also mention here, hey, still got the giveaway for Amazing Tales. Yay! Amazing Tales by Martin Lloyd. I am giving away this copy. This is the premium print-on-demand edition from Drive-Thru RPG. All you have to do to get in the running is comment on one of the Daily Dope videos from last Wednesday on. I was going to announce a winner tomorrow, and then I had forgotten. This was like last week, right? When I announced the giveaway. I had forgotten that I have a cardiologist appointment tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So, in fact, my appointment is exactly when I normally start the show. So, it won't be a Thursday show. I don't know if there's going to be a Friday show either. So, keep your eyes peeled. If you don't follow the Gaming Gang on Twitter, you really should, because it'll give you the heads up on what's going to be on the show for the day. I know a lot of times I try to go onto YouTube and, kind of preload a thumbnail and kind of put a little info on what I'm going to be talking about that day, what am I reviewing, things like that. It doesn't always happen. So following the Gaming Gang on Twitter will usually keep you right there on the cutting edge of all the exciting developments that I have in my life. Yeah, right. Excitement. Oh, other thing I do want to mention too is I did the review for Thanos Rising, I should say, Avengers Infinity War yesterday, and surprisingly, I actually liked it, because if you watch the review, I was kind of like, I really thought I wasn't going to dig the game. I mentioned it was coming, I said it was coming April 6th. Well, it turns out that USAopoly moved up the release date, so I want to say it's hitting stores on Friday. So you might want to check it out. But if you did not see the review, if you're interested in Thanos Rising, then by all means, check out the review, because I kind of talk about who it's for and who it may not be for. So, all right. Yeah, it was funny. So Russell Higgins says, can't forget the cardiologist. Well, just so long as you're still around. Had to close my Twitter account. Hatch Act, just too risky. Oh, okay. Russell seems very paranoid sometimes when he's in chat. No, I can't forget. It was strange. It was funny, because I was thinking that my cardiologist appointment was actually on Friday last week when I was doing the show, and then I looked at the calendar and I went, oh no, the 29th is Thursday, not Friday. So I will keep everybody in the loop. There should be a show on Monday. I mean, if they tell me they need me to go and get this other stent put in right away, then obviously that's probably how I'll be spending my weekend, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed that is not going to be the case, that maybe we can schedule that a couple weeks out. All right, anyway, so as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about Phantom Leader Deluxe Edition, and let's swing on over to the other camera, kind of set this up a little bit. Let's get that straightened up a little. There we go. That's cool. All right, so here we go. There is Phantom Leader, the Vietnam Air War solitaire strategy game. This is the deluxe edition from Dan Verssen Games. And it is still in stock. You can still get Phantom Leader, the deluxe edition. It carries an MSRP of $89. And gotta say, I'm sure some folks are going to sit there and think, yeah, well, that's a little pricey for a solitaire war game. It isn't, actually. There is a lot to this game. There's a lot packed into this game. There's tons of replayability, and this is a really, really awesome solitaire game. I personally think that it is well worth the $90 price tag, because you are going to enjoy this tremendously. Now, I want to point out, I'm just doing an overview, so I'm not going to go into all the specifics and basically talk about, I'm not going to do like a playthrough of it, of a sortie or anything like that. I'm just going to kind of talk a little bit about the game itself, kind of show off some aspects of the game. And I did a review of this game a few years back. The review might actually be from 2013. It's probably 2013 or 2014 over at my home website, thegaminggang.com. It's good game, little like B-17. Russell Higgins says he owns it. Oh, yeah. So wait, Russell, let me see if I can go back here a little bit. Nope, if it's just a stint, they will do the surgery and release you. You will barely know it happened. I kind of understand that. As far as the stent, now, there was some talk about a bypass when they first got me in, but I don't know. I honestly don't know if, because nobody ever said it again. And I talked to different cardiologists while I was in the hospital, so I don't know. I have no idea, but I know that they want to do another stent. And from what I understand, it's kind of like, depending on when I would get in for them to do it, I might actually be able to get out the same day. But if it turns out that I end up doing it in the afternoon, then I have to stay overnight. Not too exciting. Anyway, all right. So, as I mentioned, Russell Higgins says, yes, he owns Phantom Leader Deluxe. Cool deal. So, those of you who catch this show later on that aren't watching this live, my recommendation is always check the... and I've got nothing against Twitch, right? I stream on Twitch. I'm just popping the glasses on because I don't want to have to like be leaning over, you know, to be able to read some of the stuff. Anyway, I got nothing against Twitch. It's just, for one, they only save the videos for like 2 weeks, and then they delete the streams, and you can't follow the chat. So if you're catching this after the fact, I always recommend watch the Daily Dope on YouTube. Or you can watch the video hanging out on thegaminggang.com too. That's fine. But if you go to YouTube, you can follow the chat. So as long as I got somebody chatting with me, it will save the chat. So you get to see that. So Russell is not a figment of my imagination that I just pull out of the air and pretend to converse with a little bit while I'm doing the show. Just wanted to point that out. All right, so Phantom Leader basically simulates you pretty much taking command of a squadron. So you're not actually, you're not the pilot. You're not, it is still tactical because you're only really commanding a certain number of aircraft. You're not sitting there, okay, well, I'm sending this squadron to do this squadron to do that, so on and so forth. There is a very heavy role-playing kind of feel to it, and I'll kind of talk about that a little bit as well. So what I've done is I've kind of set this up a little bit to give people kind of an idea. But as I mentioned, the game is packed with a lot of goodies. So I have the tactical display kind of set up over here, and it just keeps looking like it's not straight. I guess that's the best. And I know because in the upper left, I'm occupying that spot. I'm trying not to cut anything off from the tactical display. And I'm not really. I'm just cutting off a little bit where it says Phantom Leader Deluxe. So you're going to have these different campaigns that you're able to choose from. And it was sort of interesting because when I first cracked this open, I remember when I first looked at this, when I did the review a few years back, I was like, okay, Cuban Missile Crisis, all right, 1962. Cuban Missile Crisis, 1962, and it's got the same overview. I was like, huh? So why are there two sheets? And I'm like looking, and I'm not looking here, right? I'm not looking there. I'm looking here, and I'm like, okay, well, these are different. What's going on here? I don't understand. And then I looked, and of course, you have the option of leading the U.S. Navy, so carrier-based aircraft, or the U.S. Air Force. So, and of course, that's going to have different aircraft available to you, different missions, so on and so forth. So I thought, hey, that's kind of cool. Because first I'm like, did they accidentally put two of these in for each one? So you got the Cuban Missile Crisis, 1962. You've got the War in the South. So this is now we're in Vietnam. Now it's early Vietnam War. Since 1965, we got Rolling Thunder, 67, and then Operation Linebacker, 72. So what I've done here is just kind of doing War in the South with the Naval Squadron. So you're going to have player log too. So you're going to have you only get a few player logs. So I actually did a scan of this, and I still actually have it on an external hard drive. I'll be honest, I haven't played Phantom Leader in a while. It's probably been, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years. One of the reasons is I don't normally have an area that I can leave a game set up for days upon end, which is really what you want to kind of do when you're playing Phantom Leader. You don't have to, but you kind of want to. And you know, I'm a reviewer, so I'd be reviewing new stuff. But I did want to, like I said, I wanted to share some love for Phantom Leader right now. All right, so you have a player log, and you're going to have your pilots, you're going to have your campaign, and you're going to use this to fill out different stuff. The pilots are going to get experience points, and they're going to get stress levels, and all this just really, really cool stuff. Really cool stuff going on here. Okay, so you're going to have the player log, and you're going to fill that out when you pick your campaign, and you pick your aircraft and everything else. So if you take a look, we got an overview on this sheet, and the overview says the war in the South was the first major use of U.S. air power in the region. The primary objective was to stop the flow of North Vietnamese troops and equipment into South Vietnam through the Ho Chi Minh Trail. So we got special rules when selecting your squadron. Select 3 fewer average pilots. Pay 2, 4, 6 victory points, short, medium, long, for each A6 intruder you select for your squadron. Remove the SA2 counters. Remove the following event cards: Bandit, SAM Site, B-52 Strike, Show of Force. Subtract 2 from the number of aircraft allowed to fly each mission. Do not draw and place bandits. Okay, so you'll have a bunch of special rules. So I want to point out, I have not set this up as if I'm playing this campaign. I've just kind of taken some stuff, put it on the side to kind of give you an idea, right? So here you're going to see these are the campaigns, and you can choose the campaign, and then you can choose the length of the campaign. So you got a 2-day campaign, which is short. You got a 4-day, which is medium, and then you got 7-day, which is the long one. And then you're going to see where it says victory points. All right, so in a 2-day campaign, if you get 5 or more, it's going to be great. If you do medium, so on and so forth, right? And then we're going to see standard weapons, special weapons. So standard weapons are weapons that can be equipped, ordnance that can be equipped on your aircraft that are not going to cost you special operations points. And then we've got special weapons. Those would cost you special operation points to use as ordnance on your missions. Then down here, you're going to have a recon track, you're going to have an intel track, you're going to have a politics track. So you're going to have, as you go along, depending on how well you do on your missions, you might get better intelligence, you might get better reconnaissance. Now, the politics is kind of interesting too, because, of course, now this is early, so we don't have a whole lot of people at home marching in the streets demanding that we get out of Vietnam, but you'll actually deduct political points for your target. And then you can only do missions which will have this, let's say we're at 1, right? You're gonna choose target cards. That's what this recon track is. And you're gonna only be able to do a mission where it's the politics of that mission is equal to or less what this track is. So you're gonna actually have this card, right? And nice stock, right? Look, I'm gonna get the glare on it too. So it's got a really nice finish. Like I said, this is the deluxe edition. This is all really nicely done. And we'll take a look at the cards too, and you'll see that, yeah, it's really, really well done. So you're actually, when you're playing, you're going to have this card off to the side, right? So you'd probably have it, like, say, like right next to you there on your table while you're playing. Phantom Leader Deluxe Edition as they moved the box. So, just so you know, this is not the only item that you're going to have out. So, this game does not take up a lot of space, but it does take up a bit of space. All right, so we've selected our war in the south. We're gonna use a naval squadron, right? So that's our campaign. That's what we've decided we're gonna play, right? So let me show you the rules real quick. And the rules are really well laid out. A lot of images in here, and I have to point out some wargame companies, and I'm not talking like GMT. GMT's really good about doing their rule books. VPG, Victory Point Games, pretty good. Flying Pig Games, pretty good. There are some other companies out there. I'm not going to name. I haven't played a whole lot of their games. But I've actually gotten a game and tried to like read through the rule book and was like, what? Sat there scratching my head. Everything's laid out in the rules. One thing that's cool about playing a solitaire game is if you mess up the rule, it's no big deal. And really, you're sitting there and it's kind of like, okay, well, on my next sortie or the next campaign I play, I'll make sure that I get that rule correct. Not a lot to say compared to OST. Old school tactical? And Russell Higgins says this is a rainy day game. Yeah, it really is. It really is, because usually if you do a short campaign, you can knock off a short campaign in just a few hours. It's the longer campaigns that you want to end up leaving everything set up overnight or for a few days. All right, so like I said, a lot of illustration. Everything's pretty well laid out for you. And you can just, be reading as you start learning how to play the game. And then we get a rundown on the aircraft. Different aircraft that are being utilized. The air-to-air missiles, the air-to-ground weapons, different pods. Then there's a run-through, I should say, of a sample mission. And then some of the other fine DVG games. So I had reviewed. Strangely enough, I never had Hornet Leader. And then let's see, is it in the shot here? I'll tell you what. Let me do this. If you can see right here, it's Hornet Leader, the Cthulhu Conflict. It's sort of like, okay, so I was kind of able to get a feel for it. Feel for the game to do a review, but I never had Hornet Leader, right? I did have Phantom Leader and Thunderbolt Apache Leader. Did a review on that. Did a review of Field Commander Napoleon. I really dug that. And of course, these are the games that were out at that point in time. I think Dan Verssen Games just did a Kickstarter for a new edition, like a new deluxe edition of Field Commander Rommel, I think. I gotta reach out. I gotta reach out to Dan because he was really good about getting review copies of stuff to me. And whenever I had like news items to share and stuff, got a lot of news from him. Like I said, I think things just fell off when I moved from Arizona, and it's very, very possible that he didn't get the email explaining, "Hey, I'm moving. This is the address I'll be at," so on and so forth. All right, so we took a quick peek at the rules. Then you're gonna have this handy dandy sheet that's gonna help you out. Gonna help you out with a lot of different stuff. So you're gonna see starting aircraft. So it's gonna tell you, depending on the campaign length, it's gonna tell you how many pilots you're gonna get, how many aircraft you're gonna get, what is the pilot skill level. Then you got aircraft attack sequences, site bandit attack sequences, bandit movement, special operation point costs. Because remember I told you you're going to get these special operations points. that you can use to purchase special weapons. Then we've got stress accumulation, experience, SAR operation, and it's just one side. So you're going to have that handy. So you're going to have your aircraft. So as an example, not taking into account the special rules for the War in the South campaign card, we'll see. Let's say we were going to do, all right, we're doing a short 1965. So it's going to tell us, okay, so this is the number of aircraft we would get. Now, of course, War in the South tells us, oh no, you're not going to get that many aircraft, right? Remember that was part of the overview? I'm just ignoring it for right now. I just want to show off some of the cards, right? So you're going to have, let's say for an example, okay, so, because I already have like the target card out and all this other stuff. So you'll see there's the call sign for the pilot in the upper left corner. Then that's going to tell you, all right, so what's their skill level? So he's a newbie. Oh, so Russell Higgins says, I have Hornet Leader and the Cthulhu version. Yeah, actually that Cthulhu one is pretty cool. Yep. Someone just chimed in, I'm sorry, but they have an Asian character name, DVG rulebook, really good, easy to learn how to play. Yeah, they are. They are very good. Not difficult at all. So anyway, so we see that he's a newbie, Grease is a newbie, and then the number after that is how many experience points will Grease need to move to the next skill level. And you flip the card over, when he gets to his next skill level, he's green. And then it says, oh, well, he needs 5 victory points to get, or experience points, right? To get to the next level. So you're going to actually have 3 cards for each of your pilots. And they're going to show you, I'll give you an example here. Now, this is Air Force, but so we got Rebel Newbie, then we got Green, then Average, then we're going to have Skilled, and we're going to have Veteran, and then we're going to have Ace. So it's very, very cool. So once you're a veteran, it's going to take you those 8 points to become an ace. So as I mentioned before, Phantom Leader Deluxe Edition has a little bit of kind of a role-playing aspect to the game, because you're going to need to rotate your pilots. You're going to try to make sure that their stress level isn't too high. If their stress level gets too high, then they're unfit. They're unfit for duty, so they can't fly missions for you. A lot of stuff you got to kind of juggle in the game, but nothing just, really heavy mental lifting. So anyway, so for an example, so I would have had the ability I would take 1 newbie, 2 green, 4 average, 1 skilled, no veterans. You never start off with any ace pilots either. So if we take a look at this card here, let's look at Grease. So if we take a look, there's an image of the aircraft, and it shows us it's an A6 Intruder. Then here it's going to talk about, okay, so stress. Remember, he's a newbie, so he stresses easy. So 0 to 2 points of stress, his status is okay. His speed is slow. That basically means that his reactions are slower. So if you have a slow pilot actually kind of attacks last. If you have a fast pilot, they get to attack before bogies and before ground sights get to attack. All right, and then it's going to show, okay, so so C here is like coolness. Sorry, I was out of focus here. If you look there, you'll see there's a C with a 0 under it. That's how much stress is regained after the mission. All right, so, and then it's showing air to air, air to ground. And then it shows we've got the 8 points. Those are weight points. And then it tells us, okay, so these are the weapons that we can This is the ordnance that we can outfit this aircraft with. So I've got 2 A6 intruders. Oh, the other thing I should point out once I get to it. So anyway, I've got some Phantoms. So see, I've got the A3 Sky Warrior. Or I'm going to turn it like this. So if you ever see on the card where it says S and then numbers, if you select this aircraft for that campaign, you'll get extra operations points. So special operations points, which I mentioned before, you mainly use those to be able to use the special weapons ordnance. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty cool. So we got the Phantoms. So this would basically be the squadron, right? So that is who I've got. So I've got Grease, I've got Driver, I got Krusty the Clown, back during his Vietnam service. Paco, Ghost, Whiplash, Showtime. Yeah, baby, it's Showtime. And John Wayne, the Duke. Got the Duke. He's my skilled pilot. So, there you go. So, as I mentioned, right, I said this thing is just jam-packed, right? Look at all the aircraft you get. I mean, okay, so we got this deck of aircraft. The majority, if I remember correctly, I think the majority are Air Force. So we got all these aircraft. That's one deck. Right? We got another deck. So the other thing I should have pointed out was, you see the wings underneath the call sign? That shows, is it Navy or is it Air Force? So silver is Air Force and gold is Navy. Okay, so we got all this whole deck, right? Now remember, each pilot has 3, right? You got 3 cards. But still, a lot of aircraft, because you got that, and you got this, got another deck, all of these, and wait, I'm not done. Got this deck, got all of these. Oops, how did a target card get in there? Damn it. Get out of there, target card. All right, so we got all that. Some of these might have been mixed up a little bit, so. And then yet another deck. So we're talking, there's loads and loads of aircraft. All right, so anyway, I'm going to just put that right there for a sec. All right, so then what you're going to end up doing is, so you got your aircraft. Now you're going to go get the counters for your aircraft, right? And it's pretty interesting because unlike most war games, you're not going to find a whole lot on these counters. All right, so, oops. Sure, I got them all facing the correct way. All right, so you can see these are the aircraft. All it's going to show is it shows the aircraft, a top-down view of the aircraft. It's going to show the call sign of the pilot, and on one side it's going to say H. And flip a couple of these over. On the other side, it says L. So that's altitude. That's the altitude they're going to come in on their mission as they approach into their target area. That's it. That's all that's on these counters. Right? So pretty wild. Pretty simple. Okay, so you'll have all your counters for your aircraft. For your squadron, I should say. And yes, I know this squadron's too big for this campaign, but yeah, sorry. We're gonna as you can see, I haven't even shaved today, so today's been a kind of crazy day. So Warfighter is my first DVG game, and then I became a fan of DVG, especially the Leader series. Yes, the Leader series is very, very cool. The Commander series too, if you're into more along the lines of ground combat. And I gotta be honest, I really thought Napoleon, Field Commander Napoleon, was really, really cool. I know some people didn't dig it, but I do know that a lot of people who are really into horse and musket, especially the Napoleonic age, tend to want really, really crunchy rules. I remember back in the day we had the miniatures game, Empire. Oh, I don't know how anybody played that because nothing happened. Nothing would happen. You'd play for hours and nothing had happened. Yeah, I can't deal with that. So Field Commander Napoleon was like real fast moving, and man, it was really, really good. So, all right. Unfortunately, I no longer have it. Because I actually had to call, oh gosh, about 100 and maybe about 150 games from my collection when I moved back from Arizona from the Midwest. So my good buddy Louie, who I have mentioned from time to time on the show, he was the main beneficiary. So his collection just really expanded hugely when I moved because I just didn't have space. And it was just going to cost me an arm and a leg to ship everything back. So, alrighty, moving right along. Okay, so you got your aircraft counters. Then what you're going to do, you're going to have to come up with a mission. So you're going to have your target cards. And depending on the campaign you're playing, you'll see that these are the various different numbers for the missions. So there are, I want to say, I think there's maybe 50. I think there's about 50 different mission cards. So these are the cards that aren't being used in this War in the South campaign. So let's see, VC buildup, rail line, SAM sites, major airfield, port, radar installation. These are just the targets for your sorties. A rail yard, major bridge, large naval base. I mean, there's all different stuff. And then it's going to show we're on the map. We're on the area map that mission is taking place, right? So, because we start off with the Recon 2, I drew 2 cards to see, okay, so which is the target, which is the mission we're going to be able to do. So, and because you choose a mission, right? So as our recon would get better, I would be able to draw 4 cards and then choose out of those 4 what mission do I want my squadron to tackle. So anyway, so I took an armed recon. So the number in the corner is going to determine where on the map this mission is taking place. So for an example, 15 is right up here. So, and we see a division here. So it shows Route Pack 1, WP -1, Stress 2. So what this means is this mission is a bit further out. So we have to subtract 1 weight point from the aircraft because the assumption is that's extra fuel, and then add stress to the pilot because he's flying over enemy territory, pretty far out to take on this mission. So we see armed recon. See, it's got politics too. So remember I mentioned, okay, so you're with the political track here, right? So we would actually have 2. Well, when we complete this mission, it's going to move us down to 0. So we see where it says data. So we're going to see it says data, and we've got approach and center. So it's going to tell us how many sites and how many bandits as the pilots come in. So, all right, so now we're sitting there and it says, okay, forgot to put it back where it was. Anyway, so then we see here, that's the maximum number of aircraft you can assign to this mission. Then this is going to talk about how many hits you score on the target will determine victory points as well as recon points and intelligence points. And then at the bottom, there might be some special information. So it says low altitude. So our aircraft coming in have to be at low altitude when they get to the center area, which is a target. They can't be high, because basically what they're doing is they're doing reconnaissance, but they're blowing stuff up along the way. So anyway, okay, so you got your mission. Then you're going to actually set up the ordnance for your aircraft. Now, I'm not going to go through all the different stuff because there's just loads of different stuff. Different bombs, just like iron bombs. You've got air-to-air missiles. You've got air-to-ground ordnance. So we already know that we're going to see bandits. Maybe. So we do want to make sure that we are going to equip our aircraft with some air-to-air ordnance, just in case, right? So anyway, so you would actually be assigning your aircraft. So we already know it says max 5, but then this campaign says that you have to subtract 2 from the number of aircraft allowed to fly the mission. So now we're down to 3. It's like, okay, so we go Greece. Let's use an A6, and we'll use a couple of the Phantom F4s. A couple of the F4s, right? So I know I can only have 3 planes, so I'm going to use my average pilots. I don't want to send 3 newbies all out there, right? Or green, what have you. So I'm going to take one of the newbies. So, all right, so you're going to have your cards, so your aircraft, right? And then you're going to just lay out your ordnance. So I'll give you kind of an example, right? So the MK-82 is just a bomb. It's just an iron bomb. So it's going to show it takes up 1 weight point. Now we know for each of our aircraft, we only have 7 weight points of ordnance. On the A6, we have 7. And then on the F4s, we are actually down to 5. So this is a bomb here. So it's going to show, okay, so that's going to take up 1 weight. And then you're going to see here 7 and 10. And this is what I found kind of cool about the game too. So let's say, and you'll see L. So the aircraft has to be at that altitude to be able to drop this bomb, right? Okay, so anyway, so the cool thing I thought was if you look at the number up here, right? So what that means is when you drop this bomb, this is, of course, this is Vietnam. These aren't smart bombs. They're just bombs. You're looking at, if you roll a 7 or higher, you're going on a 10-sided die. So you're going to use a 10-sided die in this game. You would get 1 hit on the target. If you were to roll a 10, that would be 2 hits on the target. And remember, we've got this 0 to 2 hits gives us no victory points. 3 to 5 gives us 1 and an intel point. 6 or more will give us 2 VPs, 1 reconnaissance, and 2 intelligence. So I thought that was kind of interesting that and you'll have some weapons that'll have a bunch of slashes. But here we see, like, we got rockets, okay? So rockets, 7 or higher to hit. The aim, it's a 9. Aim 9, that's air-to-air. Looking at 6, right? Super easy, right? And then, of course, you're going to just have these for your planes, and then as you expend the ordnance, you just remove the counter. So once you've done that, once you've sat there and you've basically fitted out your aircraft for the mission, then you're pretty much ready to start the mission. So all you're going to do is right here on this, let me move some of these counters off. I can pick this up and keep it straight. The important thing you're looking at here is on the side of the board, shows you the sequence of play. Right? So on the side of the tactical display, it's showing you the exact sequence of play, how to play the game. So right here it says pre-flight, draw target cards. Yeah, well, we did that, right? Select target, move politics counter. Well, okay, so we selected our target, and so we move the political counter. Determine and place sites. So this is where we take a look at, right? So the approach are 2 sites, 1 bandit. So I'm not going to fill all this stuff out. Okay, so here we go. Lego Batman is performing duty once again as in the Command series. I think the best design is Napoleon. There's a delay, so I'm slow to chat. Hope you don't mind. Oh, absolutely not. No, I got to be honest. I'm not always looking right at the chat window either, because I'm obviously talking about the game. But if you do comment, I do my best to actually respond to any question or comment. So anyway, I was going to say, so I've got Lego Batman doing duty once again as my opaque container for me to be able to pull items. So what you would do is you've got all the different sights and bandits on these counters. And like I said, I'm not going to set all these things up, but just kind of give you an idea. So it says, okay, so we got 2 sights on an approach. So, okay, so we're going to do south approach here. So we see we've got infantry right there. And we've got ground air right there. Then it says, okay, we're going to pull one. We're going to look for a bandit. All right, so this is our bandit pull. So you see there's the ground sight, but on the backs of these counters, you flip it over and there's the aircraft. All right. So for an example, wow, that is not fun. So also what you do is you actually, not for the bogeys, but for the ground sights, you'll have all of these approach counters, and you're supposed to actually draw the approach counter for the ground sights, and then you point this arrow towards the center. So it's going to show you, okay, well, these ground sights are actually set up to attack this way. They're not set up to attack here. So that's kind of how it's showing it out. Or no, I'm sorry, the black. Why was I thinking the red? It's the black that shows. Wait a second. I can't remember. It's been so long. I think the red is showing where it can fire. Anyway, so what that basically does is all the ground forces aren't always, 360 degrees. They can, take you down anywhere. So once you got your sights all set up, and we'll just, kind of, as an example of stuff, just tossing stuff out. So here, see? So if I were pulling for a bandit, it would say no bandit. All right, so we don't have a bandit in this approach, right? So pretty cool. All right, so we'll just toss a few of these in here. All right, the center, we got, that. And we'll see on these, it's going to say, all right, so for an example, this ground to air missile has a range of 2. So it can actually 1, 2, and high altitude. All right, then we see, okay, this is an infantry unit. It's low altitude. So if aircraft were coming through at a high altitude, nothing. They can't do anything. Nothing at all, right? Because they're just infantry firing their sidearms and rifles and things like that at jets zipping up, at high altitude. Ain't gonna happen. All right, so anyway, so once you've done that, got all your ordnance on your aircraft, all that other stuff, you've got event cards. So you can actually use 3 event cards. You're not gonna draw them all right now, but so your first thing you're gonna do is you're actually going to draw a target bound. So this is an inbound event. You're gonna look at the card and you're gonna take a look. So you got top, middle, bottom. Top area here is inbound event. Middle area is over the target. And then you've got the outbound event. So the inbound event is resupply, gain 2 special option points. So those are the SOs. So it's like, oh, cool. Hey, nice. very nice. It's like, we didn't do anything. We're getting something cool. Trust me, these events are usually not good. So it's like, hey, we lucked out. Because it's usually like, one of the aircraft has to abort, all that, just different stuff. So cool. So we lucked out there, right? All right, so then you're going to place your aircraft in their flight paths. And what did we have? We had these three, right? So you can put your aircraft cards here. What I always would tend to do is I would have them actually out like down here, below below this tactical display, and that way I've got all my ordnance on the aircraft. But I don't know. It's just where it indicates on the tactical display that where you put the aircraft. So anyway, so what we're gonna do is, so we got Grease, we got Paco and Whiplash. So what we could do is, now remember, there would be stuff all around here. I just didn't do everything there, right? All right, so we could, if we wanted to, have them all coming in from the same approach. Yeah, you can do that. No big deal. If you decide, okay, well, you want to break them up, you can do this. As an example, just say, okay, well, I'm doing that. It's all, what you do is you pick the approach based on what you're looking at as far as the defenses of the target. And then you're going to start, once you get over the target, you're going to have turns. You're going to have 5 turns over the target. So once you get into your pre-approach, that is when you start counting down. And then you're going to draw an event again over the target. Hey, we lucked out. Nothing. So pretty easy. You're just going to keep moving in. If you run across, well, okay, you've got enemies that can attack. So for an example here, whoops, I got these guys at high. They're all supposed to be low. Oops. So you'd be moving in, and and you've got the range for some of the units and that. So for an example, we've got Grease. Grease is a newbie, right? So we know he's slow. So that would mean any bogeys or any sites that are within range of Grease, they get to attack first because he's slow. As these pilots get experience, then you can have the pilots be fast, which means they get to make their attack. And of course, depending on what you're doing, you could be going and you're doing you can use ordnance on the ground forces, you can use ordnance on the bogeys, things like that. And you're just going to basically try to survive to get over the target and start dropping ordnance, right? So for an example, let's say Grease got over the target. He's able to evade, because you can evade the ground forces and stuff like that. And then you're going to roll your die, right? So let's say, okay, for an example, Grease was rolling, and you take a look at Grease's card. Where did I just put it? Oh, put it back on here. Duh. So air to ground, he's -1. So we'll say, as an example, his stress is still at 2. Will I upload this video to my channel? Yes. All the episodes of the Gaming Gang do get uploaded to the channel. It'll be up later on today. So anyway, so let's say he's still got that stress too, right? Because if he was over it, it's like he's not going to be able to do anything. So what it means is remember I got the 8 and the 10. Well, basically now we're looking at, he would need a 9 or a 10 with his bomb, and we got a 7. So nope. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to be trying to evade or take out the ground forces as well as the bogeys while you're trying to attack this target. Now remember, you only got the 5 turns, and you're going to count down these turns, and you're going to just kind of repeat. And it shows right here, right? Over target. Jettison decision. Fast pilots attack. Sights and bandits attack. One pilot may suppress. Pilot under attack may use evasion. Slow pilots attack. Aircraft move and adjust altitude. Bandits move. Advance a turn counter. Just follow through there. Now, yeah, of course, and you can lose aircraft. You can wipe out ground forces and bogies and so on and so forth. So anyway, so that is pretty much what you end up doing, and hopefully you're able to perform the mission well. So let's say, for an example, we ended up with, we got 4 hits, right? So we're going to end up getting a victory point for that, and 1 intelligence point for that. And let's say our pilots all made it back. On the way back, you're going to draw another event card, right? So we're going to look at the bottom part. So this is the outbound. This is homeward bound. Says if you destroyed the target and did not have any aircraft destroyed, remove 1 stress from each pilot that flew that mission. Yay, R&R, cool. So hey, all good events actually. And that's what you're going to do is you're going to play the different missions in the campaign. And once you finish, so remember, so the short campaign is 2 days. And if we say we got that 1, if that's all we got for the campaign, we'd be in pretty deep. We'd be pretty dismal. But anyway, so once you get back, then you got your debriefing. That's when you're going to use your player log, and you're going to mark down the different points that the pilots have earned. You're going to track their stress, and you can do different things with some of the pilots. You can send them on R&R, which just means that they're not available for you to utilize in missions. Especially, you start doing that when you're doing like the long campaigns and so on and so forth. But I find it really cool. Things that I find really cool are it's got enough kind of meat on its bones without being really overwhelming to play. Of course, even myself, even when I was fairly familiar with the game playing it, I would have to resort to the rules from time to time. Seeing I haven't played in quite some time, I would have to really sit down and go through this. I actually should show my nephew, Cameron, how to play this, because I think he would get a kick out of it. But play it kind of more like 2 players, right? Kind of break up the aircraft and the sorties where I control so many and he controls so many. Because this isn't a game that he's not a big enough wargamer yet where he could just sit down and simply play a game by himself. He needs to have another player. He needs to have an opponent. It's just, which is not unusual. There are a lot of people who don't like solitaire games too. But I really dig it because you've got all the various different targets, right? So depending on the campaign, you're going to determine what target cards you're going to use. So for an example, in that 1965, all these target cards weren't used. Now, maybe if we're doing the U.S. Air Force, then you're going to have different targets, you're going to have different aircraft. I really dig the replayability of Phantom Leader because there's tons of it. You've got all the various different, you got the different campaigns, and then you got the different campaigns from the point of view of the U.S. Air Force or the U.S. Navy. So you've got a different mix of missions depending on the campaign and depending on if it's the Air Force or the Navy. So really, really dug that. And I love the kind of role-playing aspect to the game where your pilots are earning points to go from being a green pilot or newbie pilot to a green pilot to then, eventually, hopefully being like a veteran or, an ace maybe. So yeah, of course, obviously you have to have the longer campaigns for your pilots to really start going up. And I remember playing longer campaigns and having a pilot who was like, oh yeah, they started off as just a bum. Now they're one of my most dependable pilots, and then you lose them. It's like, no. So yeah, and of course there's rules about pilots getting shot down and if you're able to recover the pilots, and yeah, there's just loads and loads going on. So anyway, as I said, this wasn't really going to be a review. I just want to kind of do an overview and share a little love for Phantom Leader Deluxe Edition from Dan Verssen Games. So yes, and folks already watching live are like, yeah, I've got the game. So it's like, yeah, we've got the game, man. Just hanging out. So yeah, usually Wargame Wednesdays, and Russell already knows this. Wargame Wednesdays, I'm usually featuring new stuff. Just I haven't gotten anything recently. I didn't get a chance. I still haven't got a chance to. Let me move something out of the way, and I'll pull it out. Give him a little shout. I have not had a chance to play at any cost Metz 1870 yet. Because originally that's what I kind of had hoped to get a review of, but you know, most people watch the show know I had a heart attack, so that kind of put some the kibosh on a few different things. But I did want to mention GMT has seen a delay in their from their printers. I read this the other day, and I guess this is something that happens pretty much every year. So I guess their printer indicated that the April releases that they had planned aren't going to be ready until May. I guess they're not going to ship till May. So yeah, kind of stinks, because there's a lot of good stuff coming from GMT. If you've missed out on a lot of the Coin Series games, there's a whole new print run, I think, of all of them, except Pendragon. Pendragon's recent. Pendragon came out. But yeah, it was a little sad to see that bit of a shipping delay for GMT titles, because right as rain, they're always sending me stuff. So anyway, all right, so that's the show for today. Just real conversational today, just kind of hanging out. And it's 4:30 a.m., so have a good day for you and good luck. I hope you make a video to introduce your live equipment. Well, thanks. Hey, thank you so much for watching. And it's awfully early in the morning for you to pop in. So definitely check the channel, check the videos. I've been around for quite some time. This is the 8th year I've been covering tabletop games. So, all right, anyway, so that's pretty much it for the show. As I mentioned, there's no show tomorrow because I had the appointment with the cardiologist. Don't know about Friday either. I think there should be. All depends. All really depends. There should be a show on Friday. If not, just, stay tuned on Twitter and I'll let you know. Anyway, so when you're not watching The Daily Dope, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Come on, by now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Might see you Friday. If not, have a wonderful weekend. If you happen to celebrate Easter, have a wonderful Easter. And if there's no show Friday, I will see you on Monday. So until then, thanks for watching.